Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of uranium. I'm going to start with the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, the ETF, and then in individual companies to gauge kind of a big picture view of the uranium sector. What are we looking for? We're looking for bottoming patterns if we can find any. Candlestick patterns with wicks on the bottom, hammer patterns, bullish engulfings. We're looking for a sign of a turning point. And we'll look at the charts. We'll see what we've got here. Again, this is just my financial opinion. Please don't use it as advice. We do know that this sector is undervalued. We know that for a fact. We know historically that uranium is priced very cheaply in relationship to other assets. That is a fact. So now we just have to figure out, short term, things can move any way. They can go up, they can go down, they can break patterns. And what we have here is we've got a pattern. This is for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. It was a consolidation pattern. And what I said is, either way, this thing's going to either break to the downside or to the upside, and it's going to release pressure. And the pressure is being released to the downside. It could not break above this, I guess, Hulk strong line here. It's not breaking. And we've pulled back, and here we are pulling back. We do have a wick at the bottom here. I don't know if that's necessarily a huge reversal pattern. Usually what you'd like to do is end really strong with no kind of wick at the top. Something like this guy down there. But there it is. You got a little wick in the bottom. And that's where we're at with Sprott. And it's coming on back. We've seen a lot of weakness here. A lot of sellers. A lot of fear in this market. Uranium, we've got... this is North Shore Global Uranium Mining ETF. We are getting close to this buy signal or the end of its projected move to the downside from this big pattern. It looked like we were going to break to the upside. We failed and we came on back. And we're right just above. I've got a projected move around 70-ish. And I think we're probably going to do something like this is what I drew in there yesterday. So hopefully we can find some support here. We've got some support. We got the opening and closing price coming together here. That's why we have this little candlestick at the bottom. Right here. We have the hammer pattern to jump up and above, but there's too many sellers and we sold back off. So that's where we're at today. Looking at Bannerman. Bannerman, we broke out of its downtrend, and now we're coming kind of right back at its downtrend, selling off a little bit today. We've got a projected move, which is lower here at 0.1428 if it were to do the complete move. I'm not necessarily saying it will do that. We do have support under here about where it's at right now. So we'll see what happens if we can hold this support. This did have buyers last time. It came down to 16, 17 cents and got bought back up. So we know that there's some buyers under here. So hopefully we can find some support here soon. Goviax, we've got a little hammer pattern. It's not a huge one. But maybe we can start finding some buyers down here. We had a nice, good reversal here that bought it back up. We're coming back down and we're bouncing. So downward momentum, we're probably going to go sideways and chop back and forth. It's just incredibly volatile, this chop. And you got to get ready. You got to get ready to mentally prepare yourself for this battle. But, when I see stuff down here, I wouldn't be that adverse to sprinkling a little bit if you got the cojones. But that's up to you. Global Atomic, selling off 2.9%. I don't know why this is a green day. This is a daily candlestick, but it's selling off. It closed at 268, which was up. So it probably opened and then came back up, which could be positive. Should still be a down day. It should be a outline candlestick here. And I see they don't have outline candlesticks. Maybe that's why it's like this. So it opened here and closed upward. So if I had money, and I don't have money right now to cost average in, I would actually maybe think about sprinkling in here because it opened here and closed upward. The momentum is coming back up. And usually I sprinkle in a little bit, and we saw this nice big wick before. This is more of we'll call it a riskier add-in, but it's cheap. So, and if it were to fall back down, I would just use my sprinkling, but we got some support through here. It's right where it's at. Forces Metals, another big sell-off today. It's breaking out of this channel pattern to the downside. The projected move's quite a bit lower. kind of almost to where the breakout is. So it's almost like we break out and do almost a retest. If it were to go down that low, I don't know if it's going to. We do have support kind of where it's at through this area all in here. So that's Forces Metals there. It's not looking too hot at the moment. Pure Point's looking a little bit better. We're broken the downtrend of a very short-term downtrend. Remember, the shorter the time frame, the less meaningful the patterns are. The statistics go down. It's the big patterns that mean stuff. And we could pull all the way back here and still be in a massive bull market. So we're just having a large pullback, in my opinion. And this is a very volatile sector, and I don't think people are used to this type of volatility. It's just that volatile. People expect, oh, it's a 10% pullback. Well, 10% pullbacks in uranium terms could be 50, 60% pullbacks. Deep yellow, I'm seeing a little bit of sell in here. Hopefully this support line can hold at about 60, about where it's at, 60, 61 cents coming across. Hopefully we can hold here. Here's Paladin. Paladin is selling off. It's hitting up against its resistance line here. A big old resistance from back there. So we might pull back a little bit inside this channel, and we could pull back quite a bit before moving up. Or we could just roll higher. I mean, the short term is really unknown. The big long-term picture is what I really look at. This kind of came back did a little pullback here. We're still above this broken downtrend line. So we might be finding some support down here, right where it's at, kind of a double bottom here and here. And let's hope that's the case. Here's Next Gen Energy. Looks like it's at its support line. It's trying to find some support right where it's at right now. You can see it right there. Again, this thing's had a pretty good size pullback. It's all the way back at 414 from $6.50-ish. So we need to see this thing kind of chop sideways and get this momentum to turn. Canalaska is selling out a little bit of a fallout here. Man, we're probably flushing out a lot of weak holders, that's for sure. Came up, came back. We're coming, almost doing a double bottom. Maybe we can start chopping sideways, get this momentum to turn. Here's base load. This is what I drew in yesterday. It is following the pattern. It's just kind of coming down, and hopefully we can start bouncing like this. I'm projecting that it could head a little bit lower, but let's downtrend, sideways, and then hopefully we can move on up. Fission 3.0. I drew this in yesterday. I said, it's probably going to come back, something like that. And I almost drew it to this exact time, or the exact bottom. This is a big hammer pattern. Maybe we can get some momentum and move on up here for FISOF. Fission, uranium. Again, we got a little hammer pattern. Hopefully we can use this support line down here to move on up. Downward trend line. We're moving more sideways, quite volatilely, but hopefully we can turn things around. Here's CCJ. Again, we're still in this pattern here, kind of on the support line of the middle support line here. And we've been just kind of grinding lower. Kazatomprom, it is definitely pulling back. I would not be chasing this, guys. I would just be waiting. But this is in full retreat mode. Next support area is probably, it's a little below where it's at, 32.85. 31.50, somewhere in that range. Yeah, that's what I've got there. Pen MF, again, we broke this big long-term downtrend line. We could be coming back and doing a retest on it. And these things they're going to be big moves because they're just volatile companies. So we could pull back a little bit more, but it looks like we're getting close to, I mean, we can do a projected move on this just for the heck of it. Oops, I forgot to click. Eesh. I'd say it's probably right where the support is at 8 cents or something, if it were to pull back. Boss Energy, again, it's pulling back. Projected moves down a little bit below it, and it's got a lot of support down here at $1.30. Lotus Resources selling off. It's definite downtrend break. It failed breaking this line here, and it's coming on back. So I'd wait for a bottom. Here is Uranium Royalty Corporation coming on back. Projected move could be quite a bit lower if it were to play out. There's a lot of support in this region down here, the $3-ish range. Maybe it pulls back, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. On Core Energy, it is breaking its uptrend line, so be careful here. We could see a pretty large pullback if it wants to pull back. You can see quite a big pullback if it were to pull back like that. Again, we've got this big old pattern here, kind of coming all up to a point, and it is pulling back, coming on down. I would not jump in front of this. Wait for it to find some resistance. Some support. UR Energy looks like it's finding a little bit of support where it's at. Hopefully it can hold. You can see some support all back through here. So it's got some support where it's at. UEC's back in the pattern. It's got support, but basically right where it's at, coming across here. Let's see if that can hold. LEU, zooming in on Centrus Energy. We have like a shoulder, head, shoulder. We'll see if this thing can hold. We got support underneath it at 41 bucks, somewhere in that range. But it's not looking great. I'd probably just wait for it to bottom. Lightbridge is selling off as well. I do not see a bottom yet. It has hit its projected move downward, so it can turn around here at any point, hopefully. ISO Energy, let's see what we got here. I drew this in here. Hopefully it was going to bounce somewhere in this range. It has pulled back a little bit more than that, but we're still, maybe it's going to do this kind of type of range first. But not much really to say. I'd just hold on. Wouldn't really do much. Appia Energy, we bursted higher here, hit the bottom of this pattern, and now we're pulling back. And I said, be careful here, because sometimes we can come and do a retest and then pull back, which it's doing. Denison Mines, again, we're below the pattern. We could still potentially head lower here. I don't see a complete bottom, but it looks a little bit better with the wick on the bottom here. A little buying pressure, but overall, the sector's been getting kind of beat up. Blue Sky Uranium, it's looking like it's finding some buyers here, 5.6% up today. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a turn. Momentum still to the downside. Forum Energy Metals looks like it's firming up some. It looks like we're starting to contract and trying to find a bottom. There's lots of support here at this 12-cent area. In the big long term, we're kind of just resting on this support at the moment. Lots of momentum coming down, though. That's got to work its way off. It's probably going to have to bounce sideways and consolidate for some time. In Laramide, nice big move higher. We are pulling on back. Projected move is 40 cents-ish. If it continues lower, there it is, breaking out of this pattern to the downside. It does look pretty weak. I do see some support kind of at 47, 48 cents, somewhere in that range there, just underneath it. Hopefully that can hold. But that's what I see today. We are below the patterns, guys, and it does look kind of weak. It's undeniable that uranium is cheap in relationship to other assets. In these types of scenarios, and I knew these types of scenarios would happen in a bull market because they're just big pullbacks and highly volatile stuff. Again, I haven't sold anything. I'm just riding this up and down all over the place. Would I be buying at some of these? Not yet. I'd like to see some sort of indication that we've hit a bottom. And I haven't seen it yet. But in others, I could see, some people sprinkling in a little bit. That's up to you. Again, though, we have a lot of downside momentum. And I usually wait for that momentum to dissipate before getting in and adding any more than what I've already added. Because I did add when we tried to pop back higher and get a move. But the sellers are still out there. The fear is still out there. And we're still selling off at the moment. Do I think this is going to be a good long-term pick? Yeah, I do think so. The market deficits are out in the future. We know that uranium is cheap in relationship to gold and other assets. We know that we've got an expansionary phase of coming. We've got inflation. All of the markers are there. But we just have this short-term sell-off that seems to be enduring across all asset classes. It's dragging everything lower at the moment. So we may have to be patient. We may see this come back even more. And I think we're in the right place. We're just got the wrong time right now as things are selling off in this pullback. And keep in mind, guys, these things have had massive runs. If I were to hit all on Laramide and we were to look at this chart, we are squeezing up into this corner here. We broke to the upside and we haven't really had a major pullback from this break. we went from a low of about 10 cents, almost 13 cents, all the way to 70 cents. And that's a really big move. And we're getting our first kind of pullback and consolidation period. So this is normal. And I know people, they're going to say it's not normal. It's not a 5 to 7% pullback. Well, how many companies have you seen in 2 years go up 500% or something like that? Probably not many. So I look at this and it's like, we were eventually going to have a pullback, and it's probably going to scare a lot of people out. But the true believers are going to be in here. We're going to be holding strong. I'm a true believer. And we've got an energy crisis coming in front of us. Oil is going to get more expensive eventually, probably by next year. In the short term, we just have some weakness. If you guys like this analysis, give me a thumbs up. Leave comments below if you guys want to comment on anything. Let me know what your opinion is. I'd love to hear what your guys' opinions are. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.